Hi, welcome back to my channel. Welcome or welcome back. My name's Shuri, and I'm really excited about this video. It's going to be a little different than my other videos because this is going to be movie related. So, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I do Movie Monday every Monday. It's my day off normally, so I like to go to the movies. So, I've watched a lot of movies this year. I think I'm at maybe like 80, maybe 81. I'm not sure what my second viewing of Barbie, if it's 80 or 81, but I love to watch movies. I have been in working in theaters for over 10 years now, since I think like 2011. So I feel like watching movies is like my second favorite thing to do outside of reading. And I do them both a lot and I love them. And I love movies. I've always loved movies. My favorite movie of all time is Titanic. We won't discuss that because I feel like it's a little bit, a little bit a hot take. I have watched, I believe, like I said, I think 80 films this year, but we're technically almost 7 months through the year. And I wanted to do kind of like my favorite films of the year so far. So it'll only count for films that I watched between January and June. So Oppenheimer will not be on the list, even though it will definitely be on my favorite films of the list, favorite films of the year at the end of the year, because that movie is, and honestly, Barbie is also a very special movie, and that might make it on the list too. So we'll see in a couple months if anything moves. But I wanted to do my favorite films of the year so far from January to June. So let's get started. I made a list. I had to make a list. If anyone's on Letterboxd, add me. I'll add you. I love Letterboxd. That's where I go to keep track of all the films that I've watched this year. I learned that you can rank your films on there, and I need to figure out how to do that because that would help a lot with my ranking. I usually just keep my own list in Google of like if I see a film and I know it's going to be a favorite of the year, I just write it on that list. But if I can rank them in Letterboxd, that'd be awesome. But anyway, I made a list. I have 6 films. So it's my top 6 so far. And this is from January to June. Let's first do some honorable mentions. They didn't make it to my top 6, but if I was doing a top, I'm not really doing a top anything. Like I'm not doing like a top 10 specifically. I just picked films that I loved and ranked them, films that really stood out to me and ranked them. I have 4 honorable mentions. The first one is called Turn Every Page. It's a documentary about Robert Gottlieb and Robert Caro. They are a publishing duo, and it's just a documentary about them. It's very interesting. My second honorable mention is going to be Sound of Metal, which I know that did not come out this past year. I'm not even sure when it came out, but I watched it, I think, on TV. That was another thing I was trying to do more this year, is watch films at home. So I usually go to the theater and I don't really track any of the films that I watch at home, like on Netflix or anything that's streaming. So I wanted to count films that I had watched like at home this year. So Sound of Metal was one of those. And if you haven't seen that film, go watch it. Performances by both main characters are amazing, and it deals with sound. This musician is losing his hearing. He's a drummer, and the effects of that. Another one I have to mention, Polite Society. I feel like nobody saw that film this year, and it was so fun and just a great time. It's like a Bollywood adventure film, I guess. I don't really watch a lot of Bollywood films, but it made me want to watch more. And I just thought it was great. I thought all the performances were great. It was funny. It was fun. It was just an awesome film. And the women in that film are amazing. Last but not least, and this is the one that may like cause some stir, but honorable mention, Past Lives. I know Past Lives did not make it into my top. I've seen it twice, and I definitely enjoyed it more the second time. I feel like I understood it more the second time. There was something that happens in that film that I couldn't get over after watching it the first time. So I watched it again and I felt better about it. And I had to just kind of like let that part go that was really bothering me. But it is a beautiful film. From the trailer, I thought I was going to be devastated and I wasn't. And I think that's like, I wanted to be devastated. And I feel like that film is definitely going to get an Oscar nomination. I don't know if people still consider the Oscars like important or not. I have a feeling they don't. I feel like that film will get an Oscar nomination and it rightfully deserves it. Now on to the top 6. I found 6 films that like really stuck with me. So number 6, without further ado, number 6 is this documentary called Squaring the Circle. If you have seen my video, any of my other videos, or the Movie Monday where I watched Squaring the Circle, I absolutely love that documentary. It's a documentary. I feel like this is the third time I've mentioned it. which means I clearly love it. It's a documentary about these really prolific album cover artists, and they do album covers in like the 60s, 70s, 80s for very prolific groups like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and just like great like rock artists, rock groups. And watching that documentary, the music was awesome, and I went to watch it at Film Forum. I'll say where I watched all the films too, because I feel like it's important, because like Film Forum shows a lot of documentaries, and I love a good documentary, and that's where I usually go to watch a lot of my docs. So that's where I watch it, Film Forum. And all of these are going to be in New York City. That documentary is just really awesome. The music in there is so great, and it reminded me. It has the same musicality as this other documentary called Score. In that Score documentary, they talk to just like really famous musical artists that do composers that do scores. So watch both those documentaries. Squaring the Circle. I don't know if it's streaming. I'll let you guys know, but I'm not really sure. It was at Film Forum. I don't know if it's streaming or not. But Squaring the Circle, great film. Number 5 is another documentary. I wonder if I should do like a separate thing for documentaries, because I watch as many as I can if I can find them. And this one is called The Last Rider. I watched this one at the Village East location by Angelica, and it was so entertaining. It's basically about this guy who is the first American, I want to say, to win the Tour de France. I'm realizing I did not know as much about the Tour de France as I thought I did before I watched that film. I did not realize the Tour de France was like a multi-leg, multi-day, multi-week like adventure bike ride. Not adventure, strenuous, competitive bike ride. And the stakes are very high, I feel like. But so it follows this guy. I always forget names. I always forget names. But it follows this guy and his basically not rise to fame, but him winning the Tour de France and all the things that he had to go through to even get there. It's really a story about triumph and overcoming hardships. I mean, he went through a lot. And I will just say this, and they do talk about this in the documentary, in the film, but his wife, she is like his rock. She stood by him since day one through everything. And he says that I couldn't do anything without her. And it's true. Like they talk to her and they talk to him, and she, it's like she's like the real, like she's the true MVP, I feel like. But that film is just, it's just so enthralling. Like I was literally sitting in the theater just gasping at stuff and just like on the edge of my seat when he wins and the way he wins. And it's just, if that's ever streaming or like ever, I need to watch it again. I wanted to watch it again, but they only had one show a day. I was kind of late in watching it. So The Last Rider, great film. On number 4, this one might come as a bit of a surprise, but number 4 is going to be Air. That one's a surprise to me. I don't know if anybody saw that film, but it was the new film by, I don't know if, was it written by Ben Affleck? I don't know, but it's the new film with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and I think Ben Affleck wrote it. Don't quote me on that. I'm gonna need to look that up. But it's basically about, it's really starring Matt Damon, and Chris Tucker's in it, Viola Davis, and Ben Affleck, and it's about Nike when they were not really a very prominent shoe company, because at the time Adidas and Converse were the like number 1 and 2 spot, and Nike was like not. Nike was nowhere near where it is today, which is wild to me. But it's about them trying to sign a prominent basketball player, and Matt Damon's character wants to sign Michael Jordan. Okay. At the time, Michael Jordan's a rookie. So he takes a chance on him and it's like, he's going to be great. Like, I just know this. And that film is the film. And I know this is like probably weird to say because Matt Damon has a lot of other good films, but that's the film that I was like, because I don't really, not going to lie, like, I don't follow Matt Damon or Ben Affleck. Like, I don't follow their careers or anything like that. Like, he's in a film, cool, I'll see it, great. if it looks interesting. But I'm realizing there's a lot of his films that I haven't seen. But I don't know, there was something about him in that film that I was like, okay, okay, Matt Damon, let me go watch some of your older stuff. And I mean, Viola's only in it for a little bit, but she plays Michael Jordan's mother, who is great, obviously. And Ben Affleck, he plays the CEO of Nike, but to me, he's not like really in the movie that much. But who carries the movie is Matt Damon. So it was just such an interesting story, and I didn't realize what it was going to be about going in. I didn't realize it was about them trying to sign Michael Jordan to be the face of their shoe, and they make Air Jordans, and I didn't or Jordans. I didn't realize it was about that. I just thought it was going to be about like I thought it was going to be in the vein of Shoe Dog, the biography by Phil Knight that like just about the CEO, but it's about so much more. And it's not about the CEO at all. It's about them trying to sign Jordan. So it's just like a really interesting film, I thought. It really is in the vein of like an Adam McKay film. So yeah, Air. That was like my top film for a while, which is crazy. It was just so interesting. That's the thing. It's like I love going into a film where I think it's about something else and then it's like completely surprises me. I love that. So number 4 on my list, it's going to be Air. And I'm not saying that Air is like a better film than other films that have come out this year. It's just that it surprised me in ways that I didn't think it would. And I that's why it's on my list. That's another thing, like all of these opinions are subjective, especially when it comes to films and books, because everybody has a different experience when they go in to watch a film. I feel like people can pick up different things, and so yeah. So I'm just gonna stand by it. Air, number 4. And now we're on to the top 3. The top 3 films, my top 3, my gold, silver, and bronze of films that I've seen this year. Keep in mind, this does not include any films I saw in July. Okay. So you might think, oh, why isn't Barbie on here? Why isn't Oppenheimer? I'm prefacing this again, January through June. Okay. If Oppenheimer would have come out, why do I keep mentioning Oppenheimer? I need to stop. Okay. It's become an obsession. Anyway, number 3, 1001, starring Tiana Taylor. That's crazy to me because from where I saw Tiana Taylor and My Super Sweet 16, and then we see her in that He Who Shall Not Be Named video of Fade, which she looks amazing. And then I saw her on the Normani performance, and now I saw her in 1001. And can I just say, 1001 is not an easy movie to watch. It's tough. It is gritty, and oh, I saw this at the Angelica, the regular Angelica. And I saw Air at the Village East. So back to 2001. So that film is basically about this woman who has just gotten out of prison, and she kind of takes this like really young boy who's like living on the streets under her wing, and she basically, yeah, she just takes him under her wing, and it's the story of them as he grows up and gets older. And that's the most simple way I can put what the film is about. It's the story of their relationship as he grows older, and the things that she will do for him, and how she takes care of him. And it is it that film sticks with me so much because I just think about like the ending, and I'm not going to spoil anything because that's a film that I think I'd be upset if someone like told me how the ending plays out, but it had me in tears. And I saw it kind of late, like it had been out for a while, and people would come out and say, "Oh my god, the performances are great. The performances are great." That was the one thing that people were saying, and it is true, 100% true. The performances in that film are fantastic, and I just wish that if we still put credit in the Oscars, I just wish that like films like that were also being considered because it's yeah, it is a beautiful, gritty, tough, emotional, real, very real. I feel like we don't get films like that about New York, the grittiness of New York, and being a single parent, and being a black mother in New York. and just having to be a Black woman. That's also what the film is about, being a Black woman. And it's just, Tiana Taylor blew me out of the park, blew me out of the water. The sun is amazing. Everybody in the film is amazing, and it's a great film. It's emotional. I felt emotionally attached to it at the end, so that's number 3, 1001. So number 2, and this one I never thought I'd have on my list, but number 2 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That film, I saw it twice. Okay, the first film I didn't love. It's fine. It was good. Great. The second film, I went to watch it one night after I was like really upset, and I watched this one at the Regal on Delancey, and I just walked in. I never do this. I just walked in and I was like, I'm gonna watch what's playing next. And the next thing was the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I watched it, and I literally at a certain point, I was like, I don't even care what's going on. I don't even care about the plot. But this film is so visually stunning that that's all that I can even ingest or take in right now, because the animation in that film is just animation like I've never seen before. I want those like animators. They deserve the vacation of all vacations. Give them all the money they want. Give them whatever they want, because the film that they created was immaculate. Like it is wild. And there's one scene that's like animated by this really young boy, and it's just like it's just amazing. And then watching it a second time helped me understand the plot a little bit better. But the animation is just, it's so beautiful. It is probably one of the most beautiful probably the most beautiful visually stunning film I've seen this year, outside of maybe Oppenheimer. But like it is just so, and Barbie is beautiful. The set design on that. Anyway, that's for a different video. Just the colors in that film. Wow. And I feel like I was able to see it. I don't even know if that film was playing in IMAX, but that would have been beautiful. Or even, yeah, I don't know, but the Regal screen that I saw it on was really crisp, and just the colors just popped. It was the anime. I can't get over the animation in that film. Like I cannot get over it at all. And last but certainly not least, because this is number 1, this is my favorite film of the year, and this is a film I saw in January, and I haven't it hasn't changed actually. So like yeah, I saw 1001 way after this film. So 1001 was number 2 for a long time, but my number 1 film this year is called Of an Age. And we only played it for 1 week at the Angelica, and it is I cried 3 separate times. I love crying in movies. I did not used to be a movie crier or a book crier, but I cry if there's a chance for me to cry in a movie, I'm taking it. Like I'm just gonna I'm gonna feel my emotions and let them flow, because that's how I like emotionally connect with films. But this film, I cried 3 separate times. I saw it by myself. I was the only one in the theater. I watched like the first show of the day, which was like 12 o'clock. It was like a smaller theater, so it was very intimate. And I was just in the theater crying. But Of an Age, basically it's about these 2 young boys who they're young in the sense of like one is in college or just graduated, and one is like about to start college. It's about these 2 boys, and they basically, one of them is like a dance partner to the other's sister. So that's like their connection. They don't really like know each other personally, but they spend 24 hours together. Okay. And they create this connection. You can tell one of them's very awkward. The other one has already been to college, and he's already like, and it takes place in the 90s, the first part. So let's separate it into 2 parts. The first part is in the 90s, and they spend 24 hours together. They do end up forming this really intense connection, and essentially the movie is about how that specific 24 hours changes the course of their lives basically. I would say mainly for one of the characters. I think one of the characters, he's not really he never really had examined his sexuality before. And so this is almost like his sexual awakening with his friend's brother. After they spend that like 24 hours together, it jumps like 10 or 11 years later, 11 years later. And we're now like in the 2000s. And just to see the transformation of the character who was like, hadn't really explored his sexuality, and just like how that one moment affected his life, how he has thought about it every day for 11 years, how he's clearly in love with him still, and just the pain of like not being with him is just wow. That film is heartbreaking in the most beautiful way. And the end is perfect. Perfect. It's just you love them both, you want them to be happy, and when you find out certain details 11 years later, you're gut wrenched, you're like, "Oh." And it's a short film, it's like 90 minutes. It's just it's heartbreaking in the most beautiful way. And I have not been able to get over that film, like, at all. But you should watch the movie. It is streaming now, streaming on Peacock. If you have Peacock. It says Peacock Premium, but it's streaming on there if you want to see it. And every theater that was playing it, like my theater played it for a week, and then I saw it again at the Quad Cinemas. They played it for a bit. So that film's just beautiful and emotional, and you should go watch it. That one is like, watch it on TV, watch it whenever you can, watch it if you can, because amazing. So that was my top 6. Those are my favorite films of the year so far. I will do I want to do like another video obviously at the end of the year where it's like, okay, we're going to recap my favorite films overall, like of 2023. But like I said, I love watching movies just as much as I love reading. Let me show you guys my little shrine to my favorite films. This is my little shrine to my favorite films. Pleasure and Cha Cha Real Smooth were my favorite films of 2022, and Of an Age, my favorite film right now so far. And then we have Baby Oppenheimer. So yeah, if you made it this far, tell me what your favorite film so far this year is, and if you've seen any of my films that I've loved, and let's connect about movies. I'd love this channel to be mainly a book channel, but I definitely will talk about movies, and I already talk about movies a lot. So I feel like it would be a lovely combination of both. But until next time, don't forget to follow me on TikTok. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. And please like and subscribe because, again, I really love doing this. So until next time, happy watching.